Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 145 of the Falcoholic Live. I'm your host, Kevin Knight, joined by some wonderful guests this evening. First of all, we have with us our very special guest. She is Tori McElhaney. Tori, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I need some sleep and a vacation, but I'm doing it otherwise.
Yeah, I took the vacation, so now I'm the one that's going to have to carry the load, so you guys can all just relax now. It's up to me. But again, thank you so much, Tori, for coming on. We appreciate you. Also with us tonight, we have DW David Walker. He is on Twitter at Falcoholic DW. DW, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm great, man. I hate technology.
Yeah. We were having some technical difficulties before the show. I'm sure you guys probably were getting suspicious. We were a couple minutes late. So, just, everything's working now. So nobody, move anything too much. Nobody jostle any cables or anything like that. We should be good to go, I think. So, also with us tonight, we have my co-host, Eric Robinson. He is at Eric_Robinson on Twitter. Eric, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good with these big ass NASA headphones I have on.
Yeah, DW just had to bring that up. Yeah.
But I'm able to hear everything crystal clear. So
yes.
Let's get it rolling.
It's magnificent. It's so the high quality audio. It's amazing. We got the microphones, we got the massive headphones.
Oh, it's high quality. All right.
Yeah, it's just like we're in the booth. So, well, guys, there's nothing going on really with the Falcons, right? So we're probably just gonna relax. Talk about OTAs. No, you may have heard that Julio Jones is wanting to be traded, may be traded imminently. All this stuff. So we got one of the best in the business in Tori McElhaney here to break down some of the rumors, some of the stuff she's been hearing, and we're going to talk about that. Obviously, we're going to talk about some potential trade destinations that might make sense, that might be able to provide the Falcons with some good compensation, and then obviously talk about what kind of compensation we would be looking for if we were the Falcons to make the deal even palatable. Maybe it's never going to be palatable, but even somewhat reasonable. And then later in the show, a little bit after 9, we're going to be having undrafted free agent running back Javian Hawkins joining the show to talk about his experiences with the team so far, his skill set. So we're super excited to have him. And we may have some other folks popping in as they're available as well. So you guys just buckle up for a jam-packed show with tons of content. Going to be a good one. So obviously, the news of the evening is Julio Jones and his apparent request for a trade all the way back in March that has now boiled over into a whole public spectacle due to a now infamous appearance on Undisputed where Shannon Sharp apparently cold called him. There's some rumors that Julio knew it was live, some rumors that he didn't. Either way, very unlike Julio to kind of drop that sort of bomb. So everyone's been kind of scrambling since then. I know, Tori, you have been scrambling. You mentioned some of the articles that you have been putting out, but just where are you at now with everything that's happened? It's been such a whirlwind. Where are you at with this now? Do you think that Julio was, quote unquote catfished or whatever people were saying is happening with him? What's your kind of thought on the situation as it stands now?
I know I tweeted this out the moment that, shit hit the fan. But I really didn't think that this was the way that this was all going to transpire. Like, I think when I was thinking if a Julio Jones trade was on the table, and we're talking about rumors all the way back in, March, April, before the draft, May, and then to get to this point on Monday where he goes on Undisputed and says that he's out, or that he wants out, that changed the narrative for me from just strictly something that was like maybe hypothetical that you're looking at. Okay, you have Grady Jarrett's contract that you could restructure or extend him in order to get the money that you need to sign your draft class, or you trade Julio post June 1st. All of that was kind of just like what you're thinking about doing. But now that Julio's kind of gone on the record and let his, thoughts be known, it kind of makes it almost more urgent in my head, more of a real, very, very real possibility. And it's one that I don't even know if, like, at this point, Julio Jones and the Falcons could reconcile. I don't know what it would take to keep Julio in Atlanta. And that's why I don't think it's going to be able to be something that happens, and why I think there's so much urgency now and intensity about a potential trade.
Yeah, it's been very dramatic how it has unfolded. Because I think a lot of people, including myself, were, saying that the buzz happening during the draft was strange because everyone knows, Julio's trade before June 1st, not really possible because of the cap implications. So, we were all like, this is really dumb. Like, why are we, talking about them trading him before the draft? It was probably more just like a kind of quiet bubbling up of the knowledge that teams knew that Jones was available. The trade probably wouldn't be processed necessarily until after June 1st. But, these were real conversations that were happening, teams kind of angling for Julio. But yeah, now that, the draft has ended, we're talking about future compensation only. And the fact that Julio apparently wants to leave is a big wrench to get thrown into things because, it was always like, why are they going after Kyle Pitts and trying to trade Julio Jones? It doesn't seem like those two things necessarily were on the same page in terms of a team building strategy. But now knowing that Julio Jones was the one that wanted to leave, it makes things a little bit more clear. The team may view Kyle Pitts as kind of their sort of, number one weapon replacement for Julio eventually. And the reason, they haven't necessarily approached Grady Jarrett about an extension is that they were planning to get the money they need through, the trade of Julio Jones. So, I'm still processing it because they just interrupted my vacation, with this nonsense. But yeah, I want to go to everyone else as well. DW, what were your thoughts on how everything has kind of boiled over and where we stand right now?
Oh,
so many things, really.
So many things, so many emotions. I guess the first thing is, you think about the NFL and it's the old saying, it's not for long, right? It's what it stands for. Mm-hmm. And, you go through NFL history, Jerry Rice, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre. These are all guys that did not finish their careers with the team that they, won all pros, won championships with. And it's an age-old adage that if your career lasts long enough, you will probably not finish it on the same team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing that with Julio. And this is, 10 years he's been with the organization. He wants out. I think a lot of that is, the Falcons have been god awful the past 3 years. And right. He is a competitor. He wants to win games. He wants to win a championship. I think, like Tori said, the way we found out, I think was really devastating and frustrating for fans because that's like the worst case scenario. That's like being broken up with by your girlfriend or boyfriend through like your best friend seeing it on Twitter. That's, this is the kind of crap that, happens to other people. It doesn't like we're Falcons fans. We put up with 28-3. Why does this have to be how we find out about Julio?
It's like your girlfriend breaking up with you on IG Live. Like it's just, it's rude, it's devastating. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's embarrassing. So I totally get what you're saying.
And I think that's part of what's adding to this. But I think what you said earlier is the biggest key. We have been talking about this Julio trade, even amongst us in the writers, fighting about it.
It's been the most contentious topic that I can remember, certainly.
Oh, we have been fighting, including air traffic controller Eric and I. And I think finding out that Julio wanted the trade and he asked for it a while back, it changed the dynamics entirely. And I remember even in our chat, once we found that out, like all of our conversations, like everyone hit the brakes. It's like, oh God, this is a lot more stuff is making sense. Why didn't they approach Grady Jarrett? Well, if they were thinking they were trading Julio, there's no reason to have to go and chase, Grady Jarrett's contract down yet. So it makes a lot of things make more sense, but this was supposed to be the dead season and we end up with the biggest news of the week, of course.
Right. Yeah. It's like I wanted there to be more content than last year where this was like a literal drought for 3 or 4 months total. But this is not what I had in mind. This is not what I wanted. So
not like this.
Yeah, not like this. Eric, I know like DW mentioned, we've been arguing about it forever. But yeah, where are you now on this whole Julio situation?
There's, this whole thing, how it played out, and where it may be headed, how it really started is a whole episode on its own, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. But I think to piggyback off what DW said, this has never happened to the Browns. It's never happened to the Bengals. It's never happened to any other franchise, only the Falcons, that arguably the best player in franchise history says he wants to be done with the team on a sports debate show. And it's, for one, this is embarrassing. Yeah. If you're a representative of the Falcons, if you work in the PR department, this is completely embarrassing to find out this way. I feel bad for Arthur Blank. I feel bad for everyone that is a PR member of the Atlanta Falcons organization, because this is a terrible way to find out that Julio Jones is not going to be a Falcon in 2021. Yeah. I really want to uncover a lot more as far as how this built up between Julio and Shannon Sharpe, and who said what, who initiated what. That's still kind of up in the air at this point. Yeah. But I think what we know for sure, it unveiled how this started, because of course, for the last few months, it seemed as if this was generated from the Falcons front office. When now we know it's Julio that came to the team and said, hey, I want out. So it made sense, because if you recall, the trade rumors started up around March, which apparently was around the same time that Julio approached the team with this. So to me, this situation, it impacted trade. To me, it's going to impact trade talks as far as leverage goes for the team. I don't think Julio Jones realizes what this can do to his image. Depends on how it all the way plays out, because we're probably not going to get into it now, but there could definitely be some legal ramifications down the line because of this. This can definitely have a great impact on the Fox Corporation and their relationship with the NFL. This can have a great impact on Shannon Sharpe and his stance with Fox Sports.
Right.
And I don't think anybody knew. I thought I guarantee you, everybody thought this was going to be a simple, hey, let's just get on there, create some buzz, get some ratings, get everybody stirred up, and let's move forward. Like, no, this has a lingering domino effect in so many different ways. And I don't think anybody realized it, but it's a terrible way for the fan base to find out, like, yeah, Julio wants out. Like, it's embarrassing. As if, like DW said, as if 28-3 wasn't enough.
Right.
No, now Julio Jones has to get on Undisputed and say, I don't want to play. I don't want to be a Falcon anymore. Awesome.
Yeah. Right. That's why I have such a hard time believing that he did know that he was live, because it doesn't match up with anything else he's ever done in Atlanta. Like, he's never, even when he wanted a new contract, he was very, very limited in his public displeasure. I mean,
we're probably not going to get too far into that, but I just have a hard time believing he didn't know. Like, it's too many things that aligned itself for him not to know that at that point in time, Shannon Sharpe was on air live of Undisputed. I mentioned in the group chat yesterday, athletes may not watch the show, but they know who Shannon Sharpe is. They know who he works for, and they pretty much know what he does 5 days a week. So to get a phone call like that in the middle of the day, I don't think Julio said, oh, it's Shannon. I wonder what he wants. No, like, it's just, to me, it didn't align itself like that. I honestly, in my honest opinion, I'll say, like I said, we're not probably not going to get too much into this, but I think this was an organized plan between the two of them, somehow, somewhere. I really do. It blew up in a way that neither one of them thought it was going to. Like you said, this is not Julio's ammo, so Julio is probably not going to think, man, what can this do to my image? He's never done anything like this
Which
before.
Seems like shocking to me, because he should know this.
He should know, right?
This is not generally something that you just go on TV and say.
As far as Shannon goes, Shannon thinks he has a stance with a lot of players in the league. He's cool with everybody, so he's looking at this in terms of a ratings aspect. Well, guess what, buddy? There's a certain state law in the state that you filmed this show on that you kind of just broke that law technically.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, it's going to have a lingering effect in my opinion.
Yeah. I do want to read Corey Carter's donation real quick with the $5. Corey, thank you, man, for your donation. We appreciate you. He says, I think Julio started this problem by holding out in 2017, and now after the new contract to replace the old contract, he wants out of the problem he created. Kevin, do you still think those of us who think Julio will be traded are, quote, utter fools? Wait, hold on. I got to address this because I did say this, but if you remember, I said he will not be traded. If you think he will be traded before or during the NFL draft, you are an utter fool because of the salary cap ramifications. Now, I didn't think he would be traded. That is totally fair to say, but I said during or before the draft because they couldn't do it. Like physically, it's not possible. They would be like minus 10 million in cap.
I want to address him holding out. Look, he was getting outpaid by Jarvis Landry, Sammy Watkins, I believe Demaryius Thomas at that time, Odell Beckham. He was the 14th ranked receiver in terms of annual salary when he was holding out. Julio deserved to be the highest paid receiver in the league at that point in time. So I have no issue with him wanting more money. Again, Sammy Watkins was making $16 million a year as a base salary. He was making more than Julio. So I had no issue with Julio wanting to hold out. Everybody keeps throwing that back at him. The guy was severely underpaid at that point in time in his career.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can move on from that.
Yeah. DW, did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh no, I love the conspiracy.
You just enjoyed
theories.
it. Yeah.
I'm here to do the Sherlock Holmes thing, man.
I mean, everyone knows my thoughts because I put it on Twitter. Like, I mean, I think it's Thomas Dimitroff's fault for building a very poor team over the last several years. And, you know, I think Julio doesn't want to go through another whole staff regime change. He's had to do it, you know, twice, basically. I guess once technically, but like he doesn't want to start over again when he probably realizes he's got, you know, 2 to 3 years left of his, you know, potential like star power. He doesn't want to waste, you know, 2 of them with what looks like it could be a possible rebuild. I mean, I know we're all fairly like high on the Falcons' chances of bouncing back to like relevance, but I don't think any of us think they're a true Super Bowl contender. I guess I don't want to speak for everyone, but I don't think we are. So like if he wants to go to a true contender to finish out his career, that's not something that's really that uncommon for a player of his caliber. You know, we do see this often. I mean, even Aaron Rodgers is like, I want out of Green Bay because I don't think they're like enough of a contender, even though they were like the number 1, you know, seed in the NFC or whatever by the time the season ended. Even that's not good enough, you know. So it happens. So it's wild, but yeah, it's really unfortunate how it all blew up, and it's really sad because I think, you know, for me, Julio has been my favorite player since he got here, basically, and he's always been such a professional. It's why I'm so shocked that this has kind of come out like this. So I guess we'll see. We heard reports, I guess there was buzz today that the Falcons were very, very upset with Shannon Sharpe and Fox Sports. So that could potentially lead more, you know, credence to the fact that it was, you know, not necessarily on the up and up, but it could also be that the team is also equally pissed at Julio Jones for, you know, doing it if he was aware. He definitely played it off like he was aware. That was that was a good acting performance by him. He was like, "Oh, you're live, by the way." And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool." But yeah, I mean, I think either way, it was a crummy thing to do to put him in that situation. And I mean, whether it was premeditated or not, I don't think I would ask players to do that. Wouldn't be working long in this business.
Yeah, that's not journalism, man. Like that was BS. Regardless how it started, regardless who was in on it, to me, that's a BS way to try to get ratings and to get people to look at your show. And that's where journalism is taking a turn nowadays, where you have analysts. To me, this is where hiring former athletes comes into play, because there's certain journalism ethics that they don't follow, they don't want to follow, because they feel their stance as a former player trumps pretty much everything. So I think it played out in this way. Shannon Sharpe look at this and say, "Hey, I know Julio Jones personally. Let me call him with my cell phone," instead of going about it the right way. He didn't mention this to any of the producers, anybody on the show. Hell, it looked like Skip Bayless was left out of the blue as well.
Even Skip Bayless was shocked. That's like that's really crazy to see Skip Bayless shocked. Yeah.
So this was a complete it was unethical, man. It was unprofessional, and it was, if something happens to Shannon Sharpe because of it, then so be it. To be quite honest with you.
Right. Yeah. Tori, did you have a take on how all that went down?
I just think it's very interesting, and I think you raise a good point about like former athletes becoming these talking heads and kind of making these choices live on television. I mean, because you can, I took a comm law class, and these are the very first things that you learn in these comm law classes when you're studying to become a working journalist. And yep. it's really tough to kind of see that, and then to kind of be everybody like lumped in. It's the media, when there are members of the media who are out there who know what they're doing, who know what they're supposed to be doing, and do it and go about it the right way. And so I didn't like it. I also didn't like it that it just blew up my Monday, but like that's also fun too. That's what I signed up for when I started covering the Falcons, I assume.
Apparently. Yeah. I think you thought it was going to be all quiet, just deal with the 28-3 memes, but if you can get past that, not too bad. But
yeah, and then I'm on the beat for 5 weeks, and Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff get the can, and then it's all downhill from there. It's fine. Oh yeah,
it's been a wild one. Been a truly wild one. But yeah, let's we could talk about this, I'm sure, for like basically forever. Let me read some donations real quick. We got Michael Zurk with the $1. Thank you, man, for your support. He says, as much as losing Julio hurts, and it sucks considering his legacy with Atlanta, I've been kind of offended at the lack of confidence fans seem to have in Ridley to potentially step up. I trust in Calvin. I do agree with you guys that this was kind of out of character for Julio. Yeah, I mean, I think Calvin Ridley can be a very good wide receiver one. I don't know that he's ever going to be like a Julio Jones level wide receiver one, so maybe that's where I know like Eric is, kind of more on the fence of like, he's not going to replicate what Julio did. He can be a wide receiver one, I think, but being a Julio Jones wide receiver one, that's very hard to get. Maybe Kyle Pitts can be that, but
throw me under the bus like that.
Well, I'm just saying, you're the one. I'm sure he's talking to you.
Eric hates Calvin Ridley.
You heard it here first. You're the Calvin Ridley hater. Adnan is the Matt Ryan hater. Yeah.
Here we go.
Hey, I was in the podcast earlier. I was giving Frank Darby like all the props. I was like, Frank Darby greater than anyone. No, I was like, don't print that. Don't print it.
Okay, yeah. Somebody get on that, please. Get the quotes pulling for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you're thinking about you think about all the weapons that they still have. Calvin Ridley, still have Russell Gage, who I do think is going to have a good 2021 year. I like Russell Gage a lot. And then Kyle Pitts, you got him too. You have Hayden Hurst still. And I think when you look at what Arthur Smith is going to do with the offense, I think they're in a better position than they were last year with Dirk Cutter calling plays.
Yeah. There's still plenty of weapons. Absolutely. There's no question with that. Ridley is still a great receiver. Kyle Pitts. Hayden, this elevates the responsibility level for Hayden Hurst definitely in this situation. But man, it would have been good to just see Julio, Ridley, and Pitts trot out on the field on first down on the very first play of the game against the Eagles in Week 1. That would have been lovely to see.
We can't have nice things. Yeah.
Honestly, truly would have been the best experiment to see how defensive coordinators planned that. Yeah. How do you game plan against that? Do you throw the kitchen sink at them, or do you come in with only one very specific thing that you can do very well against? I don't know.
Against that secondary as well. Oh my God, that would have been fun to watch. That
would have been a lot of fun.
Can't have nice things.
No, we can't. We're not allowed. So, all right. Well, let's talk. There's been a lot of stuff floating around about potential destinations for Julio. So let's talk about some of those and which ones maybe make sense. Assuming he is traded, because there's a chance that it still doesn't happen. It seems like that chance is, going away more and more with every day. But 28-3 happens, so don't tell me nothing. Don't tell me it's impossible. Is what I'm trying to say. Kevin. Yeah. So I guess to me, my ideal partner and what we welcome in, Director of Guest Personnel Evan Birchfield, who I know has been working the phones hard to get Julio on. I set him on that a few days ago. Told him he couldn't sleep until Julio got on. So
he gets on the show looking like Ian Rappaport with
How is 3 days without sleep going, Evan? You heard from Julio yet?
Not yet.
No. Oh, okay. Well, keep on that, buddy. Yeah. Well, you got Javian Hawkins, so you can get a couple hours, I think. So.
Julio's calling him, trying to get on the show. We're booked, Julio.
Yeah, we're booked up. Sorry. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're talking about trade destinations for Julio. So I'll go first with mine. And I've mentioned on Twitter as well that I think the Patriots are certainly one to keep an eye on. Mostly because of the presence of J.C. Jackson, who we know the Patriots want to move, the cornerback. He's under his second round restricted free agent tender, so his salary, is in that $3 to $4 million range. It's not prohibitive to acquire him. So if the Falcons are looking for a second plus, because if they were able to get a first, the deal would probably already be done, honestly. And maybe it is, maybe they just aren't going to announce it until the deal can become official, after June 1st. We don't know. But assuming that's not an option, I think they're looking for a second plus. And I think the Patriots can offer maybe the best plus in addition to the second with someone like J.C. Jackson, who they want to move, who fills a need for Atlanta, who would immediately become, at worst, their second best cornerback, and who isn't prohibitively expensive. So that's a spot that I like. Tori, where any teams come to mind for you?
Oh, yeah. I love the idea of Julio going to the 49ers, but I don't know if they can make that work.
They don't have the draft picks.
Don't. Yeah. They have the draft picks, but they don't have the cap. And and I don't think that the Falcons are going to be in a situation where they're going to want to take on Julio, like a portion of Julio's base salary. Like the whole point of doing this is to get into a better position with the salary cap. And by still having Julio on the books in 2021, it's just kind of like, well, then why'd you do all this to begin with?
Right.
I think the Chargers have quite a bit of money. I think they have the means to take on Julio's base salary and then some, if I've done my calculations correctly. They're a young team. They're in LA, which we know Julio likes LA, which, I mean, when it comes down to it, that's not really one reason or not to go somewhere. But, I mean, I like that. And then, of course, the Ravens have always kind of been in the background, kind of, chirping here and there, no pun intended. But I do know that they did contact the Falcons around the draft. I'm pretty sure it was before the draft, and we're kind of in talks then, but they never really went anywhere. And then the Ravens go and draft some wide receivers. They move some things around after the draft, and I don't necessarily see them being able to kind of take on Julio right now. So those are some of the teams that I've kind of been looking at over the course of the last probably week or so.
Yeah, those ones make sense to me as well. Eric, did you have any teams in mind that you were thinking were the top possible destinations?
So I know Julio's not going to have much to do with this when it comes to team destinations, but he says he wants to win, right? And we all know he wants to win the Super Bowl. So he said he wants to win, so he wants to go to a team where that's likely a Super Bowl contender. So in my opinion, that X's out the Chargers, because how close are the Chargers to a Super Bowl title than the Falcons are right now with Julio? Right. So that's one team that's off the list. And to be quite honest with you, I think I'm taking Tennessee off that list too, because Tennessee is not.
They were one of the rumored ones, right?
They were one of the rumored ones. But if I'm Julio Jones and I'm looking at this as I only want to go to Super Bowl contenders, Tennessee is not a team that's like, oh my God, like they are right there.
Right.
They're not that much closer to a title than Julio in Atlanta, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So if we're gonna throw out some teams' names, of course, the Patriots is the first one that comes to the top of the list. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots do this because it continues on with their aggressive offseason. They spent the most guaranteed money in NFL history in free agency this offseason. So I can see them going that route. My only thing is I love Cam Newton, but
well, the only thing that maybe matters for this is that Julio loves Cam Newton, and if he's like, I'm good with going to the Patriots, then that's all that matters, really. If they
and even then, he may not have that much of a choice. If the Patriots are offering something, the Falcons aren't willing to pass up on.
So New England definitely comes to the top of the list there. Baltimore, I want to throw them out there, but the fact that they drafted two receivers fairly high and they have high hopes in both of those receivers, it kind of cramps the style a little bit as far as trading for Julio Jones, because now you're going to have a logjam at receiver and you don't even have the type of offensive scheme to keep that type of depth of receivers there. Like you're going to have 4 or 5 great targets, but you're scheming, you're running the ball 40 times a game. So it's gonna be kind of like almost pointless a little bit to have Julio.
I think honestly, considering that those talks before the draft didn't even take off at all, was the reason why they went after those guys.
And got those two receivers. Right. And I think that changed everything at that point. So honestly, I mean, the Patriots is definitely out there. DeAndre Hopkins needs to get a grip. He's not going to Arizona. Sit down. The Chiefs don't have the cap space. They don't need Julio, so you guys can stop with that too. He already said on air he's not going to Dallas, which would be kind of stupid for Dallas to trade for a guy like Julio Jones.
Dallas does have this obsession with just getting as many wide receivers as possible. So I won't rule it out. But
yeah,
what about Green Bay, huh? You know, they got to do something to lure Aaron Rodgers, back into the organization.
Here's my thing with Green Bay. Green Bay is already a Super Bowl contender now, and Aaron Rodgers still wants out. That tells me that he's not looking at the team and saying, man, we need to improve, because he already knows that they can win 13, 14 games. They've been to the last 2 NFC title games. So he knows that they're right there. This is a total different ball of wax with Aaron Rodgers. He wants out because he doesn't like the GM upstairs, and he doesn't like
he doesn't like them. Yeah,
he doesn't like the head coach on the sideline. So if I'm Julio Jones, I'm looking at that situation and saying, well, hold on, let's wait on that, because I don't even know if Aaron's going to be there.
Right.
Yeah, but if I'm having a fight with the GM and he goes out and he buys me Julio Jones,
he gets me a Ferrari, even if it's got a couple thousand miles on it, I'm not going to be that upset. Yeah,
I'm buying him flowers. I'm taking to a steak dinner. We're patching things up, man.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I don't think that relationship is it can be healed. I think that is really like they're really at odds, like personal odds in Green Bay right now. It's to the point where Aaron Rodgers is actually considering retiring. Like that's where they're at. So right now, like I said, the Patriots is definitely. I can't even really think of any more other Super Bowl contenders that can really, feasibly go out and get him. He's going to have to go to a team that is a playoff contender, to be quite honest with you, because all the Super Bowl contenders are already they're set, and most
they don't have the cap space.
Most of them don't have the money anyway, right? So yeah, he's gonna have to swallow that pride a little bit there.
Yeah, and it's possible that teams like if teams were to sweeten the pot to some extent, and go up to a first or something like that, maybe the Falcons would be like, because they don't necessarily need all of the savings this year to make it work. So if the Falcons are willing to keep a couple million in exchange for it getting upgraded to a first, maybe that could make it work.
I think the door is slammed on a first round pick. Like you can, I think you can forget about that. Yeah,
just never forget that Bill Belichick traded a second round pick for half a season of Mohamed Sanu,
and he learned his lesson. You think he's going?
Are you sure? I'm just saying, teams will be like, oh well, Bill did it, so we should try. Yeah. But yeah, DW, did you have any trade destinations that you had in mind as well?
Well, I just want to address one, and it's the Tennessee Titans, which in my mind, if he's looking at the Titans, he's thinking, oh, they've got a great OC. And I'm thinking, he's our head coach now.
They? Yeah.
And then he's looking at him and he says, oh, well, they've got a decent quarterback. I mean, Atlanta has a good quarterback.
Hall of Famer.
And then he looks at Tennessee and he says, oh, but they have a shitty defense. Julio, this is literally Atlanta.
You're already there.
Driving Atlanta. A good OC, a shitty defense, and a good quarterback. Why are you leaving for Tennessee?
So that's my point too. That is my point. I'm right there with you. Like he's not like these are.
It's dumb. Why is Tennessee on the list? They're probably going to regress.
The teams that he's likely going to go to are not that much better than the Falcons right now.
That's exactly.
That's why his comment being like, "I want to win" is very interesting.
Right? Yeah.
If you want my honest opinion on that, I think that was maybe a little bit of damage control. It's like, oh, I don't want to just like leave Atlanta. Like I don't have a problem with Atlanta. I just want to win. And I think it's maybe more like I have a problem with Atlanta, and he just doesn't want to necessarily like say it like that.
I guess I'm going to the Jaguars. Yeah. Come on,
Trevor Lawrence, let's go.
All right. Yeah. I mean, because again, he can only do but so much when it comes to these trade talks, because eventually the team is going to have to pick a destination. So
he doesn't have a no trade clause. So like, there's not necessarily anything you can do.
What you can do is now, if Terry Fontenot sends you to the Jets, then
the ultimate penalty.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
and along those lines, honestly, what would probably be best for Julio and maybe even for the Falcons is if they did have a problem finding a trade partner is keep him for 2021 and then tell him, we're not going to carry your salary in 2022 because he's going to be pretty expensive for a 33-year-old wide receiver. The Falcons get to designate him as a June 1st cut. They get to get that cap savings that they're going to need cap savings next year as well. Yeah. Like we don't talk about that enough, but 2022 is not actually in great shape for them either. But then you give Julio the option as a June 1st cut that he can go choose the team he wants to go to.
You want to go. Yep.
And we get 1 year of Julio. We get to see the holy trifecta, the Madden offense of Julio and Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley. And in some ways, that may be good for Pitts, where it takes some pressure off him having to deliver as a top-end receiver immediately. It gives him a bridge year to year 2 where Julio's taking some of that pressure off. I flip a coin as to whether or not that's going to happen. But right. in my mind,
I like that idea though, because realistically, if you think about it, they can make it work with Julio still on the team. They can make the salary cap work if they wanted to. And I think it's really interesting because it's like we can talk all day long about the salary cap. And while it is an issue, 110%, a lot of times I think a lot of teams use it as an excuse and not like that it can be worked around. Right. And it's like why you don't go after someone. Oh, it's the salary cap. But it's like you can make it work. There are ways. I know it's like one way and one way only with Grady, but like you could make it work if you really wanted to like look at it in the way that you're talking about. We're looking ahead and being like, all right, you got 1 year, and then we'll do what we need to do. Like
DW brings up a great angle as far as convincing him to stay down for another year in Atlanta. But who I think needs to deliver that pitch to him? Arthur Blank. The guy that drafted him, the guy that has, been over him for the past 10 years, the guy that probably knows him better than anybody else within the organization, maybe outside of Matt Ryan. I know this is, Fontenot's dealing as far as putting this whole thing together and executing all this, but this is where having that personal owner comes into play. And I think Arthur Blank is the perfect person to sit Julio down face to face and say, hey, this is why you need to be here in Atlanta in 2021. And I think that may be the deal right there. That may be the deal breaker. I think Arthur Blank may be the one guy that can convince him to stick around for another year.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like the fact that this has kind of happened to a certain degree already. The fact that Arthur's like, hey man, like you're going to get your contract. Like you're going to get it. Like you're talking a couple of years back. Like that's a narrative that we've seen already sort of play out. So it's not inconceivable to think about it.
Right. No. Yeah. And absolutely. If they keep him around, they could convert part of Julio's salary along with Grady.
Yep.
And because they would do a June 1st cut next year, you may not get as much cap savings, but you get the cap savings now. You get some next year, and you keep your top receiver, and avoid some of the headaches that this entire situation has caused for the team.
And he gets a raise. He gets a raise right then and there. He gets a boost in pay. Everybody's happy, right? You're paid. Our offense is loaded. Grady, you get some extra money too. The fan base is fine because Julio's staying in 2021. Everybody's happy.
Imagine if that's like how all of this actually transpires, where all of it is like, all of it's for naught. Like the last month, the last week of everything is just like, screw it. Like we're going to keep Julio around. I would literally just throw
I will start smoking. I will go to a 7-Eleven and get me a box of Newports, and I will say, you know what? This is going to be a long season. I was
This is getting so dark
because the Falcons would have to go through this for the next 2 or 3 months, and all of a sudden it's just, well, he's still here. Let's just play some football, guys. Like the organization have already suffered enough, man. Like Jesus Christ.
So Kevin, and I know everyone knows over the cap, but just some quick numbers. If you convert 10 million of Julio's salary to a bonus this year, you can save about 7 million in salary cap, convert Grady, and you have more than enough money for your rookie class. And you can carry some of that over into 2022 if you need to. And you can still do a June 1st cut of Julio and save an additional $9 million on the 2022 cap. So there is a way, like Tori said, you can make it work.
Salary cap is not an excuse anymore. You can make it work.
There are so many ways. We can start adding void years and get weird with it if we need to. Like, there are lots of options out there. Like, you know, I don't necessarily want to do the math on that because that sounds terrible. But, you know, like there are so many options. Like that's why always the idea that like they had to get rid of Julio for salary reasons was never something that I really believed, because I was like, there's, you know, massively better ways to do this. And we talked about it on the show. Like you could extend Grady Jarrett. That would probably be the easiest one. You know, or you could restructure Grady Jarrett, or you could restructure Julio, or there's a couple players you could, you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to move on from Matt Gona necessarily, but like he's, you know, that second round tender is not, you know, necessarily guaranteed until the start of the year. So you could save money there. You could make other cuts. You could do it that way. I mean, there's ways to do it. Not, you know, some of them are more fun than others, obviously. But I mean, the idea that you had to get rid of Julio to sign the draft class was never something that held water. So, you know, they could, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, at this point, it's almost like you want them to wait to see if they could get more value, because, you know, with everything that's going on, it seems very, you know, sketchy. They could wait until the end of training camp to try to get a deal done, because there's always the chance, it happens every year, of training camp injuries that could convince a team to be like, well, we weren't really that interested, but now we are. Like now we need to.
It may be in the best bet for if that's what they're looking for more value, they're probably better off waiting until then. Right. But again, you don't know. I mean, Julio is already going on a national televised show and pushed the narrative a little bit that he wants out. So you never know what can happen next week. Hell, he might host First Take next week and say, I want to leave. Like, you just never know. But it's
God, I hope not.
I hope not. But at this point, Tori, like anything is on the table right now. Hell, he might throw out the first pitch for the next Braves game and just say, grab the microphone. I want to leave. I don't want to do this anymore. It's just,
It's
honestly, like what you're saying, there's not a good timeline for this. Like, you know, like I feel like normally you have an idea of like, okay, when things are going to happen and everything. I don't think anybody has a good read on it. I really don't. There's not anyone who I've talked to who can tell me like, oh, it's going to happen next week, or it's going to happen in 2 months.
The best time for any of this to happen was before the draft.
Right.
Because at that time you had an opportunity to say, okay, we're trading Julio. This alters the draft strategy a little bit. Other teams had chance to alter their draft strategy a little bit. That was the best time to do it. When that ship sailed, it's almost like as the days go on, the lesser and lesser it is of him getting traded.
Yeah, and that's why it was so the timing of this in general was bad, because they can't trade him until June 1st. Like, they can't officially do it until June 1st. Like,
and I'm pretty sure Shannon and Julio didn't discuss that when they were texting each other. Like, man, we should do this. Yeah, we should. This is perfect time. No, guys, it's not good time.
And it's like, you know, like somebody mentioned in the chat, you know, he seemed very confident when he said, you know, I'm out of there. And it was like the guy in the chat was like, oh, does he know that the trade is already agreed to in principle? Like, you know, there is a chance that the trade has already been agreed to, and they just will not process it until June 1st. Like, so just saying. All this. I mean, we didn't even know like half the story until like Julio blurted it out on national TV, and apparently everyone in the NFL knew this since March. So, like, you know, I'm just saying it's very possible we don't know anything yet.
So if that's the case, why agree to go on Undisputed to talk about you getting traded? There's not a lot of logic in any of this. Because originally they wanted to talk about him going to Dallas, where if he knows in the back of his mind, like, bro, I'm already going to get traded to the Ravens on June 2nd. Why do I need to go on Undisputed to talk about getting traded to Dallas? See,
he went on and said he wasn't officially not going to Dallas. So maybe that throws gasoline on that he already knows where he's going.
It's almost pointless. In my opinion, it's pointless to do something like that if you already know where you're going to get traded, because now you're unveiling something that you're probably not supposed to, just so you can help Shannon Sharp out in ratings. It's almost pointless. So I think the whole thing was pointless. So I guess that job whole thing was stupid. It was dumb. Yeah. I don't get what you guys are trying to do, but whatever.
I mean,
Are we trying to analyze Shannon Sharp? Because I feel like that's a black hole.
No, I'm not. I don't have time. We don't have enough time on this pod for sure.
Yeah, that's not going to go to a good place.
He needs to apologize. I will say that.
I think he will before too long. So
he needs
the Falcons
to
and the NFL are not happy.
Yeah. That's
and then
true.
You're from the state of Georgia and you do this to the home team. Like come on, man. Like that's cold, dude.
That's right. It's not nice. Not very nice at all. All right, we got a $10 donation from Andrew Ray Maloles. Andrew, man, thanks so much for your donation. We appreciate you. He says, big fan, been reading the blog for years. Just started listening to the podcast and the show religiously over the past few months. I just want this JJ nightmare to end. Hopefully we get a good return for him. You guys can use this donation, put it towards your new replacement jerseys because you can't wear your Julio ones anymore. So, thank you for that, Andrew. We do appreciate you watching the show. And it's going to, we'll have to get on George Costanza to get those jerseys in for us to help us, get over the finish line there. But thank you. And I missed one from Corey Carter earlier. I apologize with another $5. He said, well, I guess now we know why we didn't go quarterback. It seems like Pitts was drafted to replace Julio and not to play with him. So he says maybe we could trade Julio to Cleveland, and he's thinking a third and a fourth.
No.
Because, Cleveland loves Julio. They don't think he's better than Jarvis.
They have Jarvis Landry.
He can be their wide receiver 3, right? Yeah, because Jarvis Landry is the wide receiver 1.
Why the hell would they need Julio? They're loaded at receiver with Jarvis Landry. They don't need that guy.
Oh, man.
Brown fans are weird.
Well, they've tasted relevance for the first time in like 30 years. So, I don't blame them for trying to get out on the Twitters. But
they win one playoff game in 30 years, and now Jarvis Landry is better than Julio Jones. All right, whatever, dude.
When you've been cooped up that long, the takes just start flying, just they go crazy.
Nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose.
Exactly. I mean, speaking of compensation, I know we talked about, some seconds and players and stuff like that, but for you guys, for you to make the trade, not saying you think this is what they will get or not, for you to pull the trigger on a Julio Jones trade, knowing everything we know, what sort of compensation would you want minimum going forward? Tori, I'll let you answer that first, but then I'll let Eric go. But
go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm looking at it, I would want the team to take on the full base salary. That to me is like almost a non-negotiable.
Yes.
And I think that I know that Terry Fontenot is really wanting those draft picks, and I get that absolutely. But if it means getting a third rounder instead of a second rounder or whatever, I think that if there's $5 million that they got to play with, like just go ahead and get him off the books if you can. I know that's tough, and I know that there are a lot of people who've been like, no, take the draft picks. And I mean, I want that, like, I would love to see the draft picks taken as well, like, of course. But at the end of the day, I also think that there are a lot of teams looking at those conditional picks. So if Julio goes out and plays in 12 games, then the Falcons get a second rounder. But if Julio goes out and only plays in 6 or 7 games, they get a third or fourth rounder. I think there are a lot of conditional stuff being thrown out there too. So to me, just get him off the books now, like that. Take on his whole salary, and then go from there. That's one of the things that I'm looking at as like that. To me, is really important.
Yeah, I agree. That makes a lot of sense to me. The salary is the thing that they would, that would really benefit them the most. And I think, to me, that's also where I would kind of start negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eric, where are you at? What compensation are you asking for minimum?
Are we talking realistic or?
Well, I mean, we're talking about you. Like, if you were Terry Fontenot and you held the keys, what would be your minimum compensation to consider? 2 firsts. Oh, okay. Well.
Wow.
So you're not trading Julio.
That's me in a good mood. Yeah. You're right, DW. Yeah, I'm in a good mood. 2 firsts.
Honestly, I guarantee you Terry's on the phone like, give me a first or bust.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, I guarantee you he's asking for a first, or he's going to hang up the phone.
You want Julio Jones? You want to go to the Super Bowl? I want 2 firsts. Meet me halfway. What's up?
Well, I mean, he literally said when they were doing the whole like trade, like negotiating, trading down potentially.
Yeah.
He literally said, "You have to blow my socks off." You can't tell me he's not saying the exact same thing now that
man, look,
that's what gives me confidence.
Hey, you know what? Yeah. You know what? I'm in a bad mood because my receiver just went on Undisputed and embarrassed my organization. So you know what? 2 first. I'm gonna be a hard ass. I'm being a hard ass about it.
Yeah. And take all of his base salary. That's
all of his base salary. Yeah. Damn right. Yep.
Exactly.
Being generous.
But realistic here, I do think what transpired hurt the trade talks a little bit for the Falcons. And I just can't see myself because I know that a healthy Julio Jones is still the best receiver in the league. And I think him being healthy, even at 32, you go back to last year, the 9 games he played, he was still productive. He was still averaging 85 yards a game.
Yes, which for the record is almost as much as Calvin Johnson averaged a game in his entire career.
Right. So I know this is, I'm not trading you a washed receiver. I'm trading you Julio freaking Jones, man. Mm-hmm. So to settle for just a second, I want a second and a reasonable player, at least, if you can give me that. JC Jackson was a great option. I mentioned earlier, possibly if they want to go to, if he wants to be traded to Tennessee, let's see how bad they want Julio. I want Jeffrey Simmons.
Right. Let's do it. Yeah.
I want a 2nd round pick in Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah. I mean, I do think we're going to look at some of those types of offers for sure. But yeah. And that's the thing about it is like how Terry played the 4th pick and didn't budge on, wanting premium compensation for that pick gives me confidence that I think he made a good faith agreement with Julio that he was going to try to move him, but I think he probably also made it clear, like, we're not just going to trade you for anything to get you out of here. Like, it has to be like a reasonable offer. Like,
you like that in your GM. You know that he's not going to just move for anything.
Yeah, I think if he was going to trade Julio for anything, like, he would have had something else. But he's going to play this hardball, and I think if they don't get the offer they want by June 1st, they'll try to wait. They'll try to move other money around, and they'll hold on to Julio and try to trade him, during training camp. And if that doesn't work, they maybe will try to trade him during the season. That's still an option too up until the trade deadline. That could be another, option. But yeah, for me, it's a 2nd plus. So I'm looking for a 2nd plus a player minimum, or a 2nd plus, another day 2 pick. I guess a 3rd would be something. But yeah, I mean, I think realistically, you're getting a 2nd and a player, a good player like J.C. Jackson, for example. That's a good player. He could easily be the cornerback 1 in Atlanta. And I love AJ Terrell. Terrell and J.C. Jackson would be an actually really good tandem.
You know what? I thought of another one. The Colts have some decent cap space right now. It's not a whole lot. But I think they may be able to make some movement around it and possibly pull the trigger on a trade like this. They already traded for Carson Wentz this offseason. So, they don't have a 1st or 2nd next year, but they have a 3rd. Why not a 3rd and Kenny Moore as a slot corner who's just coming off a career year in interceptions? I mean, that to me, I think that's a good move there too.
Right. But, I mean, if the Falcons can get, a premium player that's on a cheap contract, that could maybe lessen the draft compensation. You could just make it, but it needs to be like a similar value to like, a 2nd and a player, or like a better player and a 3rd. There's different permutations that could work. But DW, what's your ideal compensation? What are you asking for?
I call up the Patriots. I get J.C. Jackson, a 2nd round pick, a conditional 3rd or 4th round pick based on whether they make the playoffs or not, and I get Bill Belichick to admit that he cheated in Super Bowl 51.
Damn right.
I'll take it.
You know what? Forget that.
Am I salty? Yes, no. I'm salty.
No.
Am I still mad?
No,
yes.
You know what? We're going to be jerks. I want the title. I want the trophy. Super Bowl. I want you to admit for it all. I want you to admit that the Super Bowl was over at 28-3, and you give us the trophy, and you can have Julio. I don't care. All right.
This is hard-hitting analysis right here.
That's right. We're going to be jerks about it. You just embarrassed me on national television, dude. You're not going to get away with this.
Kev, I warned you at the beginning that I was drinking and it was going to get weird after an hour. And we're an hour in and it's getting weird. And I'm
not drinking. I'm drinking water. This is raw.
DW, you have like one of the same cups that I do. It's the final year Georgia Dome cup.
Right.
You have I think you have a different game one than I do. Mine has like Matt Ryan on it, but yeah, that's cool. I haven't seen anyone else with these cups. So, shout out to the final year in the Georgia Dome, the best year, by the way.
Yes.
So
I'm also partly drinking my tears as I cry into
that's why it keeps filling up. Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone else have a word about the trade compensation? Anything else on the Julio Jones before we move on to our next topic?
No, I'm done. I got it all.
Okay, you got the venom out. I'm sure we'll be talking about it every week until it happens. So, if you guys have more questions about Julio or anything like that, I'm sure we will be getting to that. But I know Javian Hawkins is almost ready to come on, so we'll be getting him here in a minute. Tori, I didn't know if you wanted to hang out for Hawkins or if you needed to take off.
I need to take off. I have another call for a radio station
man. Just booked
in
up.
15 minutes. So I am gonna pop off, but
Absolutely.
It's always great talking to you guys. And I'll listen in to y'all talking to JV.
I know, we know you can multitask. I
know I haven't had the chance to talk to him yet, so y'all are getting the scoop. I mean, I love it.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yes, but we appreciate you working this in.
Ask him how he likes Arthur Smith and yelling at him all the time and holding him accountable. I've heard he's pretty intense in practice, and I've seen it a couple of times. So
yes, we will ask about that for sure. Thank you again for coming on. We appreciate you making time.
Y'all have
I'm sure we'll have you on again soon.
Thanks,
so have a great night, Tori.
Yes, anytime.
Yes. Yep. That was Tori McElhaney, guys, at Tori_McElhaney on Twitter of The Athletic. Great coverage there of the Falcons. And yeah, Evan, I guess if you want to let Hawkins know that he can pop in, we can get him in whenever he's ready, and we'll go from there.
Also on thefalcoholic.com, if you get bored after the show, I interviewed him.
Yeah, that's true.
In that article.
That's right.
So.
Yep.
Evan, you've been killing it with these interviews, buddy.
Oh yeah, we appreciate it.
It's like a drug. Like I'm addicted to just trying to get the next one.
Getting the
it's
players.
Oh God, yes. I thought he was just doing this for fun. Now he's addicted to it.
No,
it's just the rush. Yeah,
right.
The thrill of the sale.
I'll have a day to myself, and I'm like, oh gosh, I got to get on this. Wednesday's coming up quick.
Yes.
And then Kevin goes on vacation. I'm like, okay.
Oh, what am I going to do with myself?
Vacation.
But Evan's he's been bashful here. The phone didn't stop ringing during that week. So I mean, I'm pretty sure Evan was still a busy man, as he always.
Matt Ryan was calling. When can I get on the show, Evan?
Yeah, he's turning people away. He told Arthur Blank to hold his horses a little bit. You're gonna have to wait here, buddy. You can't get on right now.
All right, we got before Javian comes on, let me get another one from Corey Carter here, another $5. Corey's taken on the mantle of George Costanza tonight with a lot of donations. I apologize, I missed one of his earlier. I don't think it came through right. So Corey says, I worry that Arthur Blank may have helped to create this problem by being too personally involved in the Julio situation, saying Julio will be a Falcon for life and such like this. And now Arthur Blank is the one that's going to be the most hurt by, Julio spurning the team.
Did Julio say that also?
What?
Didn't Julio say he was going to be a Falcon for life also?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who doesn't say that?
There was a lot of people saying that. Yeah. That was never a good idea.
2019, I think, right?
Lamar
said that, Julio said that Blank's word is as good as gold or something.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson just came out and said, I want to be a Raven for life. Who doesn't say that? Everybody says
right,
that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just made for an owner to say it, right? Because it's like,
it means
especially during negotiations.
It means absolutely nothing.
It doesn't.
Everybody says it. Yeah.
It means you'll be here next year.
Yeah.
Yes. For, life, asterisk, until, such a time that's deemed that, you will no longer be here. So, but,
and he's almost here. He had to download the app.
Oh, okay. Cool. No problem. Yeah. Yeah, we're very complicated here at the Falcoholic Live. You have to download an app and go through a security checkpoint. You got to, go put an antivirus on.
Did he get cleared by the CIA yet? Did we
Yeah.
get that CIA clearance yet?
Dave Choate is very serious when it comes to security. So,
But if I can plug real quick, I did some of the other undrafted free agents, and obviously one of them, I don't want to call him out, was cut recently. So that's probably not important to read, but some of the other ones, there's a lot of guys who, unlike last year where they didn't really get an opportunity, they're really excited to just be on the field, because I think that got lost in the mess last year. Is there was so many undrafted free agents who didn't even get to be in a practice because they were cut like virtually, which is rough.
Yeah. Last year was so tough for undrafted free agents. The Falcons didn't even bring in that many also, so it was just tough both ways. And then I think that was the first year in several that no UDFAs made the team last year. So big sad for sure. But yeah, this year I think it's going to be a lot different. I think we're going to see at least one, probably more. I mean, the Falcons signed like 20. I mean, it was like the biggest UDFA class of any team. So I mean, they're serious about getting some contributors here. So
I think at least one or two on defense specifically. There's a couple good ones. Not that I've talked to, but just from watching some film on them, because for some reason I like undrafted free agents. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I think it's the underdog thing.
Yeah.
But on offense also, it's like running backs really interesting with Javian Hawkins and also Caleb Huntley, who I did a Q&A with like a couple weeks ago or whatever. Like, he's really interesting player too. And it's not like we're super loaded at running back to where one of these guys can't make the roster.
Oh yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think, and we'll talk to him about it. Like, this is a really good opportunity. And I assume, that may have been, part of the reason he decided to come to Atlanta in particular, because, we all expected the Falcons to go after a running back. And the fact that he didn't, the fact that the Falcons didn't go after a running back left the door open for an undrafted player to, pretty easily make the roster. He doesn't have to necessarily beat several, veterans or anything like that to get on the team. And I think he also fits what they need in a big way.
Well, and look at the current situation. You've got Mike Davis, 2-year contract?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Ollison, who I think is in year 3, so he's got 2 years. And it is a perfect opportunity if you're a young running back to come in and to try to earn a spot, because they don't have anyone that they have committed to long term. And even Mike Davis's contract is a 1 year plus is what that amounts to.
Yes.
He's getting paid for 1 year, and they have a bailout if they want to get out after year 2. So yeah, if you're a young running back, this is a perfect situation. You've got a offensive coordinator who uses running backs very effectively in that wide zone scheme. You've got guys ahead of you who the team has no real loyalties to. They're not explicitly loyal to Quadri Ollison, who was drafted by the prior regime. If I'm a running back, the Falcons is one of those situations where you feel like you have a legit opportunity to come in, make a roster, and more importantly, if you're good enough, make contributions during the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that also benefits.
Yeah, he's trying to get in right now, so let me let him in real quick, and then we can continue. But 1 second, folks. Appreciate that. And we have now joining us Javian Hawkins. Javian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Am I saying your name right, first of all? Okay.
It's crazy. A lot of people won't say it right the first time.
Yeah. I just want to make sure, because I've been on, some shows where I've heard people, pronouncing players' names wrong, and like I try to say the right name, and then they still don't say it right, and it's just like, wow, you could at least try. So we appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
Nah, I appreciate y'all for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I know Evan. You've already had a chance to talk to Evan. We also have with us tonight David Walker and my co-host Eric Robinson. I am Kevin Knight. I know you can't see me. That's totally normal. Don't worry about that. Again, we appreciate you.
Am I supposed to see your
Yeah,
face?
no, it's like a complicated streaming thing. Like my camera can't go 2 places at once. So yeah, it's not your problem. It's my problem. So
he's not that pretty. You're not missing much.
You're not missing much.
Right.
I'm the voice for radio.
Y'all good?
Yeah, very good, man. Yeah, it's good night here. Obviously we're, dealing with all the Julio Jones stuff. So it's actually nice to get a break from that to talk to an up and coming young player, to get our minds off of the Julio situation. So thank you again for coming on.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, well, I know, you've been working out with the team. I've been seeing, some pictures and some shots on Twitter of you. So how has that been for you, to get in there and actually get some work in with the Falcons?
Honestly, man, it's a blessing. It's just a dream come true, like I'm out on that grass, at the next level, the highest level of football. So like I said, it's fun, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I bet. I can only imagine, as someone who's been to training camp, the energy is really a lot of fun, even for someone staying on the sideline. So I can only imagine, getting to the pinnacle of your craft must be an amazing experience. So I'm really glad you get a chance to experience that with my favorite team. But yeah, I know Evan did ask you about it in his interview, but yeah, for folks that haven't had a chance to read it yet, how did you come to choose the Falcons? I know you had several offers you were considering.
I felt like it was the fit. Honestly, not scheme wise, team wise, anything. It was just the energy, like I said, Drew said Atlanta, and I was like, come on, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I love Atlanta, the city, and I don't know if you had a chance to hit up Atlanta before you actually got signed by the Falcons, but it's a cool city for sure. So
yeah, I got some boys that I played in college with from down here, so I've been around a little bit.
Yeah. And I want to open the floor to the rest of you guys if you guys have other questions you have for Javian as well.
So prior to OTAs, we heard about Arthur Smith and his personality, but as OTAs have transpired, we've heard that he's kind of been a little fiery out there on that field. So kind of describe what you've experienced so far with Arthur Smith.
Honestly, just a great vibe. Like you said, he can get fiery. I mean, his coaches, like, they passionate about their job, and you could tell he is very passionate about his. So, like, if we messing up or we lacking in areas, he definitely gonna get on our butts. But like I said, he just overall a great dude. Like, he come in, he put his foot down, he let everybody be themselves. That's what he preaches. Just like, y'all just be you. Don't try to do nothing extra. Just stack it a day at a time, one day at a time.
Right. So, when it was announced that you were joining the Falcons as a free agent, a lot of us were excited because we were pretty familiar with your skill set, and you bring a different skill set than what the Falcons pretty much have on board right now. So for the listeners that are not they haven't seen a whole lot of Javian Hawkins at Louisville, describe what you bring to the table.
Nah, I appreciate you, man. And honestly, just a dog mentality. Like, whatever there is I can do to help the team, whatever coach want me to do, like, I just know I'm going to give it my all. So,
yeah. So I think that the fans are excited because they caught a few glimpses here and there as far as what you can do. But I want the fans to understand that last year he had 3 touchdowns of 70 yards or more. Mm-hmm. So when I say he's a lightning in the bottle, he definitely is. Like, it can be a house call at any given moment. So just what is one thing you want to improve on this offseason before you go into your first season as a professional?
Honestly, just assignment and details. Like, that's what my position coach preached too. Just like, fundamentals. Like, you could never get better. I mean, you could never not get better at the details. Just the small stuff. The small stuff help the big things happen. So.
Right. Were they? I'm pretty sure they put you through a lot of pass catching drills, correct? So far in OTAs.
It's just practice. Like, in position drills, we definitely go through. We do some figure 8 stuff, catching the ball and position work, and we do a lot of 7-on-7 and practice and like just jog through and whatnot. So we honestly just practice, and then it's a lot of passing and scheme. So a lot of the backs, we all in motion and getting in route. So yeah.
Right. Last question from me. What's one thing you've learned from Mike Davis so far? He's been a veteran in the league for a few years, and I'm pretty sure you came in wanting to pick up every piece of information you can. What's one thing Mike Davis has taught you already as far as being a professional running back?
Honestly, I can get to know Mike more, but just watching him, like you said, coming in, like, I know he's the vet. Like, he's been here, he's done it, so why not soak it all in? So just paying attention to how he works and just how he moves, operate. He don't talk much, but he is a funny guy. Like, he a cool dude. So it's great vibes with Mike.
Cool, man. I'm glad you're on the show. And I want, hopefully, during OTAs and when you get into training camp, man, try not to tear ACLs with your cutback. we need these guys on the field to help win games in Atlanta. All right, so don't try to embarrass.
Yeah, if I was trying to cover you, that would probably happen to me. So I'm glad I don't have to be out there yet.
Don't try to embarrass too many of your teammates. All right, Jaden.
Right. I'm just living, man. God, worry about all that. So we gonna be good.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know it's interesting because I know we had a scout on from NBC Sports, Thor Nystrom, who was like, I think maybe your biggest fan. He had you graded as like,
who? What's his name?
His name is Thor Nystrom. He has a great name. His name is Thor.
I gotta write it down.
He's a huge fan of your game.
If you say he's my biggest fan,
he's pretty big because he was. You can go back and watch our show from a couple weeks ago. He was waxing poetic about your skill set, but
you want to just send it to me when we get off?
Yeah, I can send it to you. Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, he was talking about how a lot of people who maybe didn't know your background too well were criticizing, the fact that you didn't have a lot of catches in college, not realizing that you played receiver in high school. Like, this is not something that you're, new to. Like, you've caught a lot of passes in your career. So I just appreciate Thor for letting us know that. And, I think he pointed out, you had, you didn't have a ton of targets, but you caught, I think, like almost every single target and made it look good, I might add, when you did. So I also want to mention that I appreciate it. I was watching Jalen Mayfield, the offensive lineman, and then put on your tape. And, no offense to Jalen Mayfield, but I enjoyed your tape, a little bit more.
Jalen, my boy.
Jalen's tape is good for an offensive lineman, but there's nothing like watching, a dude, running 80 yards downfield and outrunning everyone. So
I appreciate you, though. I get it.
Yeah, but DW, did you have any questions you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, you're coming in and you're working now for Arthur Smith. The past 2 years in Tennessee, he was coaching one of the best running backs in football in Derrick Henry. So, are you excited about the potential of being in the head coach under a head coach that maximized the potential of a player like Derrick Henry, got him to 2,000 yards rushing in a single season? Do you feel like he's a good matchup for you from a coach and player perspective?
Yeah, honestly, from the vibes I'm getting from not only him, like the coaches who I talk to more, talking to less, but like I said, it's just great vibes from them all. So honestly, anybody who's up for the job, like I know coach gonna get it done. Like he ain't really BSing with nobody. He gonna tell you what it is. We out here to get it done. Like we on the clock. Let's work, and it is what it is. So I'm excited to be under him, man. I am.
And you're also coming into an offense that, maybe for you, maybe the first time where you're not going to have to be a featured guy. You're coming in. The Falcons have, they just drafted Kyle Pitts. They've got Calvin Ridley. They've got Russell Gage, out there at wide receiver. Does it take some pressure off you, even as a running back, to feel like you could come in and you can just do your part as a rookie and not have to worry about trying to contribute a big load? You just have to do what the coaches ask you and not have to be like a major contributor from day one in the NFL.
Honestly, it's definitely a big relief just being at this level. Just like it's way different from college. It's totally different. Like everybody doing their job. So it's like it's easier to lock in on your assignment, like you said, because you're not really worrying about what's going on. Because, at this level, it's crazy. I was just talking to Kobe Jones about this. Like he was saying the same thing with the defense. It's like you're almost in the tunnel vision because like everybody got so much going on and you could just feel the energy and the vibe. Like everybody's just doing their job and they know what they're doing. So yeah, it definitely is big.
Yeah, and on paper, the Falcons don't have any running backs that they're committed to long term right now. Mike Davis is under like a 2-year contract. Quadri Olison is a guy that they drafted several years ago. Do you feel like this opportunity is a prime one for you to, number one, show off your skills, show what you can do at the next level, and number two, as an undrafted free agent, do what's so difficult for guys like you to do every single year, which is to carve yourself out a position on a 53-man roster?
Yeah, like you said, and that's what it all boils down to. Like, just if I can get in that 53 roster, like I love the hype, and I know everybody excited for me, and I'm excited as well. But I got to earn the spot first. But like you say, we got some guys to get the job done, and however coach want to throw me in there, if he does, like I'm ready to hop in and work. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah. So often it is a numbers game in the NFL, and it's a cruel, harsh business. And I do think you have a fantastic chance to make it here in Atlanta. Not just because of your skill set, that is a huge part of it, obviously. But I think the math has worked out well. And the Falcons are one of the teams that are the most friendly to undrafted free agents. Almost last year, obviously being an outlier because of COVID, unfortunately. This is a team that always seems to carry at least 2 to 3 undrafted free agents. So we're all pulling for you, man. We're real excited and hope you can get you out there. We can't wait to see you in preseason too. too, for sure. That's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah. Anybody else got questions for Javian tonight?
Nah, man, I really don't have any more for Javian. I'm just excited that he's on the team. Like I said, he brings a certain skill set that a lot of the Falcons running backs don't have at this point. You know, his speed and his agility in the open field is definitely a welcoming addition to the team. So, real quick, as far as, you know, practice atmospheres from the college level to here, what have you noticed the big difference in?
Definitely quality over quantity. Like, you know, I know you hear that a lot. Like, it's just like I said, we're on the schedule. Like, we here to work. We ain't got time to mess up. We ain't got time to be doing nothing but our assignments. Like, we in and we out. We working.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You speaking of college, man, you feel good about Louisville this year? How you feel about your boys this year?
Yeah, honestly, man, I just seen this post, and we got this thing called the juice board.
Yeah.
Usually when a lot of guys not on there, like, it's like, okay, what's going on? Like, how they feeling? But today I seen it, and I seen a lot of the captains up there. So, like, I see, like, they might be motivated, and I think they is. So I'm pulling for them. Right. I know they can do it. They just got to show me.
Yeah, they gotta find that consistency, man. But I think Satterfield's the right guy in place, man, to put that in motion. So, like I said, man, glad to have you here.
I seen Evan unmute his mic. I don't know if he had a question.
Go ahead, Evan. Go ahead, Evan.
Oh, I was saving mine for last because it's kind of dumb because I'm more of a cosmetic guy. No, I just want to know.
Dumb question.
So you are wearing 25 for the Falcons, at least currently, and you wore 10 in college. Did you want to wear 10 and they just said no because it's kind of like retired, but they don't retire numbers, or did you just want a different number? Just curious.
No, I ain't have any say so in it. I talked to Coach Led about it.
Oh, okay.
Got here, we was clowning about it. He was like, "What number you getting?" Or they told you. I was like, "Nah, it really don't matter and whatnot." Like, I hope they don't do nothing crazy. But 25 a great fit. I mean, it's a running back number. It's a good number. It look good.
No, it definitely is a good number. Anything in the 20s for a running back, especially. But yeah, just appreciate you coming on, and one day when you're the starting running back for the Falcons, like, don't forget about us. Come back and say hey.
Yeah, don't big time us.
Hey, you know what? No matter what number you have, man, just make sure those defenders see the name on the back of the jersey. That's all that matters right there, dog.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters right there.
Well, I was gonna ask because the Falcons have another player named Javian Hawkins. I don't know if you've met him. How have you guys, have you guys figured out how you're gonna do that? Like, how the coaches are gonna, keep track of you guys because your names are so similar.
So Coach Keys, he in the special teams meeting, he got like my name JAV, and then his JAY. And it's crazy. We don't look alike, but he got some features that's like my family features, and it's crazy. Like the first two times I spoke to him, I called them twins just because like our name, everybody called him Jayhawk, and we kind of
you gotta go with it. Yeah, you gotta go with it.
Yeah. You guys should just like one game, just switch jerseys, like see if anybody realizes it. Yeah, but I always thought that was interesting just to have, like, because it's one thing. Yeah, it's crazy. It's one thing to have a player like.
Y'all ask me about my teammates, because that's another thing Coach been preaching too. Like, just know your teammates more, and I definitely can get to know them more. So,
who's your best friend right now? I know you've been there just like a week or so, but who's like some of the guys you're getting to know really well?
Definitely our class. Our class, that's with anything. Like, who you come in with, you just around them all the time. So when you go to talking to guys, you figure them out. I know I'm Kobe Jones, like I said, and Darby, and Caleb Huntley, we came in, we both in running back room. So we're around each other, and we always helping each other. So definitely those guys. I say our class in particular, like I said, we all very social. We communicate. So the vet's been holding it down as well.
What's your insight on Pitts, man? I know you've seen Kyle Pitts up close and personal, man. So what's your impression of him?
So he a funny dude. I mean, it's a lot of funny dudes in our class. Listen, Darby definitely number one, but Kyle, he different.
Darby's gonna keep everybody entertained, man. That's just who he is. That's his personality, man. It don't matter. It don't matter what role he has, man. He's gonna get everybody fired up. He's gonna be the most fired up person on the field on game day.
Definitely not our class, and then our running back room too. they pretty cool. They give us tips and gems, you know, like they showing us the game, so
yeah,
can't complain, honestly.
Yeah, no, it does seem like there's a good vibe right now, and when you got a new staff and everything going on, for us, it's always interesting to see. We've asked some veterans that have been around for a while, how does it feel with like a new staff? Obviously, this is your first experience of the staff, so I'm interested to see how it goes for you guys. Let's see, I think I had.
I almost forgot about my boy Joe.
Oh,
Joe,
yeah.
He plays center from NC State.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah. No, he's another guy. Mm-hmm.
I was pushing 60-pound dumbbells, and he made me put them down and pick up 95s. I was like, I like you already.
It's like, oh no, this is the NFL, bro. You can't. You gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Yeah. Yeah, guys.
But I appreciate y'all for having me though.
Absolutely.
Hey, when you make the roster,
Jamie.
will you come back on to celebrate?
So we can talk more then, because like I said, I can't really say nothing. I'm still trying to earn a spot.
Yeah, no.
Well,
we'll save a spot for you.
Man.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, but yeah, man, we're all excited for you. Yep. Thanks again for coming on, man. We do appreciate you.
Yep. Good night.
Yep. Have a good night, man. Yeah, guys, that's Javian Hawkins. He is at the very easy to remember Javian Hawkins on Twitter. So.
How about
I think he has a really good shot at making the team, man. Again, he's not in a situation where it's 3 or 4 other guys in a room that are similar to him. He's really in a somewhat of a class of his own because of his skill set, and I think he has a chance to come in and be a great third down back. He's a home run threat, man. I'm telling you. Throw on the film.
When you break, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. When you break down like what you're saying about the skill set, his real competition is only Tony Brooks James or whatever.
Right.
Because they're kind of like the fast guys, whereas Mike Davis, Ollison, even Caleb Huntley, they're the bruisers. They're the guys that want to run through you. Right. Where, I mean, Hawkins, if you watch his film, it's insane. Some of the cutbacks, you made the joke about the ACL, but his cutbacks are insane. Like some of the highlights you watch, it's like he runs around to the other side of the field. There's not a guy like that. Patterson, I guess, you could say, but he's a big dude. He's not going to make those kind of crazy cuts.
No, yeah.
The one thing about Javian, and if you go back to his 2018 tape, if you go back, no, I'll take that back. I'm sorry. His 2019 tape. If you go back to that year, he had a lot of inside runs. He's a type of guy. He's 5'9", maybe a $175, $180 at the most, maybe. Mm-hmm. He runs.
I think 185 or something like that.
He runs much bigger behind his pads, and you may not want to see that at the next level. But again, the one thing that stands out about him, and it's the one thing that it goes back to what I said earlier about how he's a home run threat. He takes away angles because of his agility in open field. There's one particular run he had against, I want to say Virginia Tech last year, where he housed it for like 80 yards, and he literally had 3 defenders that had the proper angle on him, and they were probably about 6 to 8 yards in front of him, bracing for him to reach to their particular level. Scoots right past him down the left sideline untouched. The guy is able to really take a run and make it a touchdown no matter where he is on the field. And I think in this particular offense, the way the play design is going to allow him to be in the open field a lot more, and I think he can that element there can really elevate the offense, help elevate the offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really exciting fit, and Thor, I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to hype him up too much, but Thor was, if he goes back and watches it, Thor was saying he wouldn't be shocked if Hawkins was the actual starter by the end of the year. So
didn't he say Hawkins was like his top UDFA or something like that? Or
I think
one
he was like his
UDFAs?
top ranked UDFA. And he was like his RB 11 or something. So he was like ahead of a bunch of guys that got drafted.
Right.
Very cool. Very cool of Hawkins to come on and talk to us. We're pulling for him. We're pulling for a lot of the UDFAs, and we just excited to see who can end up making this team because it's going to be a very competitive camp, I think. Very competitive camp. So, anything else you guys want to add before we sign off tonight?
Yeah, I think one of the things he talked about that we sort of gloss over, you know, a lot of these guys are going to have to cut their teeth in special teams. You know, we always forget it, but it's that third component. And the Falcons, you know, you look at what they've done with, you know, bringing in someone like Patterson this year. They're putting an emphasis back on special teams. Some of the guys they drafted this year are guys that have, you know, good special teams experience. And, you know, whether it's Javian Hawkins or some of these other guys, we can never forget that. We get hyped up because we talk about offense and defense, and that's, you know, it's easy to get, you know, caught up in those things. Yeah. But the deciding factor for a lot of these guys almost always comes down to what they can do as far as their contributions on ST. So hopefully Javian can contribute there and make a difference. But I tell you what, he's coming into a great situation where he doesn't have a Devontae Freeman sitting in front of him. He doesn't have, you know, a young Todd Gurley sitting in front of him. He's got such a great opportunity, and I'm excited for him.
Yeah, very exciting.
One of the things, and you know, when I was talking to him earlier in the week, and then I'm sure you guys realized it on here, is how like humble he is. Like he could feel very confident, like DW was talking about, like the situation he's coming into. But anytime you try and hype him up, he kind of slows back down. Like, well, I'm just trying to make the team. Like, he's a super humble guy. But I'm hoping the best for him, because I do think, like DW said, like he's coming into a great situation. So we'll see what happens. It's just going to be nice to like actually see these guys in preseason games and not just kind of like, oh, well, we heard this happened in practice or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's always nice to get, you know, to put a face on a players, you know, and to actually get to know them. And I think it's important to help remind people that, you know, these are people, not just, you know, numbers on a field, because, you know, when cuts come and stuff like that, like these, you know, we have a chance to talk to JV, and I'm sure we'll talk to a few more guys because Evan's, you know, working his magic. But, you know, these are the type of people that, you know, we have to say goodbye to because it's a harsh business, and just want folks to remember that, you know, it is difficult, and these guys are working real hard always. And, you know, I think in a way they're all deserving. It's just there's only 53 spots on a roster. At least there are bigger practice squads now, but it's harsh out there, and we're gonna.
Yeah, that's what happened last year. Last year was super rough. Like I got to know a bunch of the guys by doing my Q&A article series, and you know, like you said, none of them made the roster. I think a couple like Tyler Hall and some others kind of trickled on later on, but a lot of them just went jobless, and a lot of them still aren't on a team. A couple of them, like Evan Kasarczyk, he's in the Vikings like rookie minicamp or whatever, and then Austin Edwards is with the Chiefs. But like Mikey Daniel ended up with the Panthers, but like a lot of them are still not in the NFL, and they got kind of a short stick last year. So I hope the best for them. But yeah, it's not easy being a undrafted free agent, and Hawkins is one of the rare times where he can actually do something. So
yeah. So we're gonna be watching his career with great interest as the training camp gets underway. You know, we're gonna be trying to get out to training camp as well if we can. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. We'd like to do some shows from training camp, or at least, you know, from nearby training camp, if that's not allowed. You know, within 10 minutes of training camp, more or less. But we'll keep you guys posted on that. But again, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you guys don't mind throwing a like at the show, subscribing, we really appreciate those metrics. You can check out our Patreon page. I know it's been a little quiet this month because we've been on vacation, but we will be getting back to the patron Q&As very soon. We'll have one next week, and we will also be trying to work on some more content for that as well. We've got some stuff possibly coming down the pike for that I think you guys will be really excited about.
He's got a phone call he's got to take.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Terry Fontenot.
It's Fontenot. Okay, yeah. See if you can get him on here to drop a hot take real quick. Yeah, but before we sign off, I'll just leave you with that. Yeah, but guys, we really appreciate you. Thank you for being patient. You know, while I guess maybe I took vacation. I guess I can't speak for everyone else, but you know.
Yeah, not all of us can afford to take vacations to Hawaii, Kevin. Like,
no.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't gonna say Hawaii, but since you
must be nice.
It was very nice. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure to flood my timeline with all these Hawaii pictures just to make sure everyone knows how nice it was. So, hashtag humble brag on everyone. So,
jerk.
But yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight. First of all, we have our co-host this evening, Eric Robinson. He is at _Eric_Robinson. Eric, how are you doing? Otherwise, I'm so used to saying that. Oh my God! Tell me how you're doing again, and then tell me what you would like to plug.
For another 2 hours?
Yeah, we're just about to run it back. We're gonna start over from the beginning. I'm gonna start.
What's it, a Jerry Lewis marathon?
Oh my God.
What's going on?
Been on vacation too long, apparently. Okay, yeah. Anything you'd like to plug in?
Yeah, man. I just had the recently released column on my outlook on everything that transpired recently with Julio Jones and Shannon Sharp and Undisputed and how it affects the Falcons and the trade talks. So definitely give that a look. But I also want to give a tip of the cap to Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith for how they've handled this so far. Rookie GM, rookie head coach, you got the best player in franchise history, putting together some type of scheme to want to get out. And they've handled this the best way possible that they can as professionals. And I got to commend them a little bit because this easily could have went awry. I mean, this could have been ugly because you also got to throw in the fact that they've had to deal with what they're going to do with the 4th overall pick for 3 or 4 months as well. And I'm sure that was a headache to deal with. So again, a tip of the cap to those two guys. They've done a great job so far with how they've handled everything involving the Falcons, involving Julio Jones, involving the team and the city and the organization, things of that nature. So, yeah, much respect to those guys for what they've done so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they've handled it pretty dang well, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more next week because we will be back next week and we'll be doing weekly going forward as long as you guys keep tuning in.
As long as other athletes don't get on other shows and
what they please no.
Yeah, if they do that again, if anybody else, if Grady Jarrett goes on, what's another one of those shows? I don't want
he goes on First Take tomorrow.
Right. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm headed out too. I'll be like, all right,
I want to leave
done.
too.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Forget this. I'm out of here, dude. I can't take this no more. I'm going to Kansas City.
Yeah. Tyler Russell, I know what it is you're referring to, and I will just say lol. So thank you for that comment. But we also have with us David Walker. He is at Falcoholic DW. He is the host of the excellent Falcoholic podcast. I know he just finished, before coming on here, recording a podcast with Tori. So you guys are going to definitely want to check that out as soon as that's live. I think that's coming out tomorrow as well. So anything else you're working on you want to plug, DW?
Yeah, no, we're going to have some off-season content on the podcast because we have to figure out something in the dead season.
Yep.
We did have Tori on earlier. We did our first ever random ass predictions podcast, which was a ton of fun. Tori showed off her creative skills. Honestly, I'm a little concerned because you can see in Tori that she's going to quickly make a big career for herself. She is quite talented. She's a incredibly good on video and an excellent writer. So really fun to get her while she's still early in her career and hasn't moved on past us.
Yeah, it's not big time in us yet. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, not quite yet. So we're gonna take advantage while we can.
Absolutely. Thanks again for coming on, man. We appreciate you.
Yep.
And then finally, but last but not least, our director of guest personnel, Evan Birchfield. He is at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. Evan, I know you just put up your interview with Javian Hawkins. Any other stuff you'd like to plug tonight?
No, that's it. I was away for personal reasons, so I just wanted to thank you all for picking up my slack.
Especially DW and Eric, not me, because as we mentioned, I was on vacation.
Yes, Kevin, not Kevin.
We can't feel your shoes, dude. We cannot feel your shoes.
Yeah, we're not capable.
Well, you did a good job. The Falcoholic's just been good to me, and I'll leave it there.
Yes, well, we appreciate.
Oh, and go to the falcoholic.com and
also,
read our content.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we do have some stuff up there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. I forgot to mention that also.
Absolutely, guys. Well, guys, I am Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate you. As I said, we will be back next week, and we'll be back to doing weekly we may take some more breaks because it is the dead zone. We may decide that we want to take a week off here and there, but for the most part, we'll be back to normal. And like I said, we'll be doing another Patreon Q&A probably next week at the latest, sometime next week. So keep an eye out for that if you're on the Patreon. And there will be more information coming out about the Patreon and non-Patreon fantasy leagues, because those were highly requested by everyone. So I'm planning to run a Patreon league for the patrons, and then a regular league, which will probably have some sort of contest or something for people to get into. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye on the Twitter account, on the YouTube page to see things. Yes, Adnan will be coming back at some point too, Tyler. I believe he had to.
Oh, and there's big news with Adnan.
Oh yeah, there's big news on the Adnan Twizzler front that we'll have to get to for sure.
Oh, it's the weird kid with the Twizzler in his mouth. That is right. Where he's been?
the Matt Ryan hater.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
He's on vacation now, isn't he?
He boycotted because they didn't draft Justin Fields. So
he's still mad. He's still mad about that. So, all right, guys. Well, we're gonna sign off there. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Until then, guys, have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Peace.
See you, folks.
Take it easy.